Imagine a secret superpower. Not one from a comic book, but one that's, intricately woven into the fabric of your daily routine. What if cultivating this insatiable curiosity and actively growing your mind every single day, what if that was the ultimate shortcut? Not just to a sharper brain, but also maybe a calmer spirit and just a profoundly more fulfilling life. Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into the profound, yet, let's be honest, often underestimated art of making learning a daily, effortless habit. And look, this isn't about cramming for exams or those rigid, demanding study sessions we all remember. Instead, it's about embracing strategic, bite-sized steps that over time accumulate into truly transformative growth. We'll uncover precisely why this daily practice is so vital for your holistic well-being, and then we'll equip you with practical, actionable ways to seamlessly weave learning into the very fabric of your everyday life, making it stick, making it become as natural as breathing. Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. We often hear about the importance of lifelong learning, right? But why is it so incredibly vital to keep our minds actively engaged, every single day? It feels fundamental, but I sense there's a deeper, maybe more profound impact than just, getting smarter, isn't there?
Yeah. Absolutely. Think of your brain not just as a static organ, but really as a living, dynamic muscle, maybe even more so. Just like you'd consistently work out to keep your body strong and resilient, the act of learning it's the ultimate workout for your brain. It doesn't just keep it active. It actively stimulates the formation of new neural pathways. It strengthens the existing ones, too.
But okay, new pathways.
Right. This process, you probably know it as neuroplasticity. It's like actively building new, more efficient superhighways in your brain. Each new piece of information, especially when you connect it to knowledge you already have, it reinforces these connections. It's literally rewiring your brain.
Wow, rewiring.
Yeah, for better processing speed, enhanced memory, and, this is important, remarkable resilience against cognitive decline as you age. It's truly a lifelong investment in your mental agility, your long-term brain health.
That's a powerful distinction, that the act of learning itself is the workout, the actual rewiring. Does this mean any kind of mental stimulation counts? Or are there specific types of learning that are maybe more beneficial for, say, long-term cognitive health?
That's an excellent question. And it's not just about what you learn, but really how you engage with it. Now, while pretty much any mental stimulation is beneficial, active, novel, and challenging learning, that tends to yield the greatest neuroplastic benefits. And the impact, it extends far beyond just brain health. Continuous learning profoundly boosts your confidence.
How so?
Well, because as you consistently master new things, even small things, you naturally cultivate a deeper sense of self-efficacy. That's the belief in your own ability to succeed. And this, in turn, enhances your problem-solving skills. It promotes crucial adaptability, which is vital in our rapidly changing world. And perhaps most importantly, it significantly improves your mental health.
Mental health, too.
Oh, absolutely. It can be a powerful antidote to stress. It can provide a deeper sense of purpose and meaning. And it truly fosters a growth mindset. That empowering belief that your abilities and intelligence aren't fixed, but can actually be developed through effort, dedication, and a commitment to learning.
So it's really about much more than just academic stuff. It's like building a richer, more resilient inner life, kind of connecting back to that idea of a calmer spirit you mentioned earlier. It's really about holistic well-being.
Precisely. And here's where it gets truly fascinating, I think. Daily learning expands your empathy and curiosity in ways you might not immediately expect. For instance, consider delving into historical accounts. Maybe reading a detailed book about the monumental struggles and triumphs of, say, the Wright brothers.
Right.
Beyond just enjoying the story, understanding their relentless pursuit, their failure, their ultimate breakthrough that can spark a whole new curiosity about related areas. Maybe the evolution of flight technology, or the history of innovation, or even the psychological resilience required to push those boundaries.
Right, ripples outwards.
Exactly. This kind of learning isn't just about accumulating facts. It's about stepping into someone else's journey, seeing the world through their eyes, essentially. It naturally broadens your compassion, your understanding of human endeavor. It opens doors to new perspectives, allowing you to engage with different ideas, different experiences, which ultimately just makes life feel infinitely more enjoyable and vibrant. It's about building a richer, more nuanced connection to the entire world around you.
It truly sounds like an all-encompassing benefit, doesn't it? But like you said, holistic well-being and growth mindset, those are powerful concepts. Yet for so many of us, the day-to-day grind, it can feel like it actively works against building these habits. We start with that, burst of New Year's resolution energy, maybe, only to see it fizzle out. The digital age, especially, seems almost designed to pull us away from focused learning, doesn't it? So how do we bridge that gap from that initial motivation to, like, sustained everyday habit? What are the biggest dragons we need to slay here?
You've absolutely hit on a major modern challenge: information overload. It really is like trying to drink from a fire hose. You end up drenched, overwhelmed, and hardly any of the water actually makes it inside, right? Too much information coming at you too fast leads directly to cognitive overload. And you probably recognize the signs instantly.
Oh, yeah. Like losing focus, forgetting things.
Exactly. Losing focus easily, forgetting things you just read, maybe a creeping sense of anxiety, those nagging headaches, or just feeling like you're in a persistent mental fog. This constant deluge of data, it actively drains your mental energy, leaving very little left for that deep, focused learning we need.
I definitely know that feeling, being mentally drained just from trying to keep up. So what's the antidote? How do we handle this information avalanche that feels almost inescapable?
Well, one of those powerful strategies is something called digital minimalism. And it isn't about deprivation, really. It's more about consuming less to gain vastly more mental space and clarity.
Consuming less to gain more.
Okay. Right. Consider trying maybe information fasts or structured digital detoxes. This could mean dedicating a specific day each week to being largely offline, or perhaps designating certain hours daily where you intentionally avoid all non-essential digital inputs. The goal isn't to know less, but to actually clear out the noise so you can focus intently on what truly matters to your learning goals.
Filtering, basically.
Absolutely. This involves filtering for relevance. You need to clearly define your goal for any learning session. Then ruthlessly toss out irrelevant information that doesn't serve that specific purpose. Be incredibly picky about what you allow into your mental space. You essentially need to become the gatekeeper of your own attention.
That makes a tremendous amount of sense, being intentional with what we consume.
So, okay, once we've maybe tamed the information fire hose a bit, what about that other big hurdle? Procrastination. We've all been there, right?
Yeah.
Staring at a task, knowing it needs doing, and suddenly finding ourselves, I don't know, meticulously organizing the sock drawer instead. Oh, absolutely. Procrastination is a very common habit.
Yeah.
And while eliminating it entirely might be an unrealistic expectation for most of us, you can certainly limit its power over you. The first critical step: set incredibly specific and realistic goals.
Specific and realistic.
Yeah. Instead of a vague goal like read for class, make it measurable and actionable. Something like read 3 chapters of this textbook, or maybe complete 3 problem sets for math. This specificity helps you know precisely what to do and for how long. It reduces that ambiguity that often fuels procrastination.
So it's about making the goal less intimidating, more actionable right from the start, almost like setting a lower bar just to get going.
Precisely. And that shift in perception, from seeing it as an overwhelming task to seeing it as a manageable choice, that's incredibly powerful. It helps prevent disappointment and demotivation. Setting realistic goals fundamentally changes your internal dialogue. Instead of feeling like, oh, I can't do this, but I have to, it transforms into something more like, okay, I can do this, and I chose to.
That feels more empowering.
It is. And speaking of setting yourself up for success, it's vital to find your productive flow. This isn't just about where you work, but also when and how you feel most energized and focused for those demanding tasks. Some people are morning larks, others thrive late at night. Maybe for you, it's a quiet room, or perhaps the gentle buzz of a cafe, or maybe listening to specific instrumental music helps. Experiment. Discover your optimal environment, your best location, the time of day that maximizes your focus for those harder tasks.
Find what works for you.
Exactly. And here's a neat little trick. Include easy, quick tasks on your daily to-do list. Ticking those off creates immediate wins. It builds momentum, gives you a psychological boost, a bit of energy for the more challenging deep learning work. It reminds you of what you are capable of achieving.
Okay, this is all really practical. So what does this all mean for you listening? How do we actually build this daily learning muscle in a way that truly sticks, moving from just knowing what to do to actually integrating it into our everyday lives consistently, day after day?
This brings us to the profound yet incredibly simple power of tiny habits. The core idea here is to break any desired behavior, no matter how big it seems, into minuscule, almost silly to skip actions.
Silly to skip. I like that.
Yeah. Like if you want to start flossing, maybe the tiny habit is just floss one tooth. It's so absurdly small, it feels ridiculous not to do it. The magic is once you start, you'll often find yourself doing more. The real goal is to lower the barrier to entry so dramatically that any resistance just evaporates.
That fundamentally changes the psychological burden, doesn't it? Take the pressure right off. Okay, and then what? How do you make that tiny action grow into a consistent habit?
You combine it with something called habit stacking. This involves pairing your new, tiny learning behavior with an existing, strong habit that you already do automatically every day. For example, after I sit down with my morning coffee, I will listen to 10 minutes of an audiobook.
Linking it.
Exactly. Or maybe, when I brush my teeth, I will learn 5 new words on Duolingo. You anchor the new habit to something you already do unconsciously. And here's the absolutely crucial, often overlooked part. You need to instantly celebrate that tiny accomplishment, no matter how insignificant it feels.
Celebrate. Like how?
It might feel a little silly at first, maybe throwing your arms open in a quiet victory stance like a soccer star, or simply saying yes out loud or just to yourself. But that immediate positive reinforcement is vital. It helps wire the new habit into your brain's reward system, making it much more likely you'll repeat it. To give a very concrete example for learning, after I sit down with my coffee, I write the date at the top of a new page in my learning journal. That's it. You don't have to do more. But often, just the act of starting propels you to do just a little bit more. You build that momentum.
That's brilliant. It's about building positive associations and momentum from the absolute smallest starting point. And speaking of small, digestible chunks, what about microlearning? It sounds perfectly suited for this whole approach.
Microlearning is indeed a potential game changer for daily learning habits. It's all about bite-sized content, right? Typically designed to be consumed in anywhere from maybe 3 to 10 minutes. This format is inherently suited for quick, easy consumption, and critically, it seems to enhance engagement and retention. Some studies have shown a 50% or even greater increase in knowledge retention because it aligns so well with our modern attention spans and, let's face it, our busy schedules.
Okay, so what should we look for in microlearning resources?
Well, you'd want to seek out apps with user-friendly interfaces, maybe some built-in gamification elements to keep you motivated and coming back for more. Personalized learning paths that adapt to your progress are great, as is real-time feedback. Duolingo for language learning or Headway for concise book summaries. Those are fantastic examples of platforms leveraging microlearning really effectively. And don't underestimate the power of using simple app notifications as gentle reminders, helping you weave microlearning seamlessly into your daily routine.
Okay, so once we're consuming these bite-sized pieces of knowledge, whether it's through microlearning apps or those tiny habits, how do we make sure it actually sticks? You know, in our long-term memory, I read something about spaced repetition. What exactly is that, and how does it work with our brain?
Right, spaced repetition. It's an incredibly effective, evidence-based technique for solidifying retention. And it's far superior to traditional cramming. Instead of trying to force information in all at once, you review information at increasing intervals over time. Think of sophisticated flashcard systems, how they work.
Like those apps.
Exactly. It leverages what's called the spacing effect, where learning is just more effective when study sessions are spaced out rather than clumped together. This methodical revisiting helps move information from your short-term working memory into your more durable long-term memory. It also subtly manages your cognitive load. That's the amount of mental effort your working memory is juggling at any given time. By revisiting information strategically, you're not trying to cram too much in at once, which honestly is a common cause of forgetting. So for example, you learn a new concept today, you might review it tomorrow, then again in 3 days, then maybe a week, then a month. Each time the memory trace gets stronger, more resilient.
That sounds incredibly effective, yeah. What other techniques complement spaced repetition? How do we help solidify what we've learned and move beyond just passively consuming it?
Active learning is absolutely key here. You have to go beyond simply reading or listening. This means consistently doing things like summarizing information in your own words, whether you write it down or just say it out loud. Ask probing questions as you engage with new material. Ask why, ask how, ask what if. Even better, discuss what you've learned with others. And if you really want to lock it in, try teaching it to someone else.
Teaching it?
Yes. It's a common saying, right? If you can teach a concept effectively, you've truly understood it yourself. Journaling, as we touched on earlier, is also incredibly powerful for self-reflection. I've personally found it's almost like a personal therapy session sometimes. A silent space where you can wrestle with a complex idea you just learned, maybe sort through the day's events, or even just free associate around a new topic. Sometimes just writing down a confusing concept from a book helps clarify it in a way simply rereading it never could. It deepens your understanding, improves self-awareness.
Makes sense.
And of course, the ultimate retention strategy is simply to practice what you learn in your daily life. If you're learning a new language, make an effort to speak it, even if it's just a few phrases every day. If it's a new cooking technique you picked up, try a new recipe that actually incorporates it. Applying new skills reinforces the information, makes it more relevant, and ultimately incredibly memorable.
And finally, in this age of, well, constant distractions and that information overload we talked about, how do we curate our learning environment for continuous growth? How do we make sure we're consistently getting quality, credible information? That feels like a big challenge too.
It definitely is. This is where a kind of platform-first shift and diligent algorithm hygiene become really essential. So instead of passively defaulting to social media or mindlessly doom scrolling, we all do it sometimes, intentionally shift your default platforms. Make a conscious choice to reach for a physical book first, or open an audiobook app, or seek out a deep dive video or an online course that aligns with your goals.
Be intentional about the platform.
Exactly. Then, actively take control of your content feeds. This means unsubscribing from newsletters you never actually read, maybe deleting apps that just waste your time. Ruthlessly curate your online experience specifically for educational purposes. Actively follow experts whose work you trust, subscribe to thoughtful channels, and unfollow anything that doesn't serve your learning goals. It's about cleaning up your digital space.
Algorithm hygiene, I like that term.
Yeah.
And finding credible sources.
Right. When it comes to identifying credible sources, you also need to think like a seasoned detective. You can use criteria like the CRAB test. It's an acronym. Currency is the info up to date. Relevance, does it actually answer your question? Authority, who wrote it? What are their credentials? Accuracy, can you verify it? Is it fact-checked? And purpose, why was this information created? To inform, persuade, sell?
CRAEP test. Okay, got it.
Yeah, it's a useful framework. Also, building a trusted network of experts and reliable sources whose work you consistently find valuable helps immensely in navigating the sheer volume of information out there. And finally, keep that learning journal or use a digital calendar. This isn't just for taking notes. It's a powerful tool for tracking your progress, jotting down reflections, and critically, for celebrating those small milestones along the way. Seeing your progress visually, acknowledging your efforts, that reinforces positive self-talk and keeps you motivated on your continuous learning journey.
Wow. Okay, this deep dive has really shown us that cultivating daily learning isn't just some lofty intellectual ideal, is it? It's actually a practical, achievable habit that can profoundly enrich every facet of your life, from, your mental sharpness right through to your inner calm.
Absolutely. I think the key lesson here, really the bedrock of consistent growth, is that daily learning isn't merely about accumulating facts. It's not just trivia. It's about actively building resilience in your mind, fostering an empowering growth mindset that genuinely knows no limits, and maybe rediscovering the sheer unadulterated joy of continuous discovery. It's about empowering you, the listener, to navigate a complex, ever-evolving world with a sharper mind, more adaptable spirit, and maybe a more profound sense of purpose. And remember, when it comes to learning and personal growth, consistency truly does beat intensity every single time. So maybe a final thought as you go about your day. What tiny new piece of knowledge, perhaps one unexpected factor or fresh perspective you hadn't considered, what will you seek out today to enrich your mind, just because you're curious?
Until next time, keep diving deep.